Well, I just finished up having a snack of vegetable soup as my beverage and whole wheat pasta. If I can show you here. Whole wheat shell pasta cooked in water with just a sprinkling of diatomaceous earth food grade and a whole chunk, probably that much above my thumb, that I broke off. Here, let's do it this way. Above my thumb, that much of a little square cube of beeswax, organic beeswax. And then I dribbled honey all over it. You know, honey and beeswax kind of go together, but I never would have thought to cook with it. I always just assumed as a kid you eat it raw, whole, by itself as a snack, not as an ingredient in cooking, honeycomb, I mean to say. But it's a natural. The two go together. And I suspect that taking the position or the point of view of Hulda Clark, that mental illness is a parasite in the gut. Oddly enough, strangely enough, it starts in the gut. If it doesn't start in the gut, it can start in the ear canal, but either the ear canal, the gut, or both. That's when it really gets bad, when it's both. It may start in the ear, but I think the gut has a role to play in sustaining it, keeping it going, and amplifying it, making it worse than it could otherwise be. You know, a really small matter. You know, a person being kind of kooky, but not really seriously, I don't want to say deformed. Well, nothing serious, more serious than maybe some kookiness. So I think it's a parasite in the gut, and we know that both honey and beeswax have slightly antiseptic qualities to them, antimicrobial qualities to them. But beeswax is different. It's more than that. I don't know, it does something to make it difficult for mental illness to flourish. And I think it's because it does something to regulate the activity of parasites in the colon. Because I couldn't get away with eating sweets in my diet. There's no way I could. I would get bloat so badly. Because I can't eat honey with every meal. I can't do it. Yet I want to take beeswax with every meal. So what I do is I'll alternate. I'll either have honey with, because I eat basically a carbohydrate-rich diet. I don't eat a whole lot of protein. I mean, I eat nut butter and vegetable soup, and wheat, you know, has about, 7% protein, but mostly I eat a carb diet. And I don't eat a lot of fat either. I've, switched back to being a vegan. It's a lot better when taking massive doses of silver through the skin in the bath. It thickens the lymphatic system, which is the fluid component of the bloodstream, making it easier to get a stroke or a heart condition, if that's what your family lineage is prone to, or something else similar, because the blood and the lymph get very thick, very congealed. So it pays to be a vegan, just for safety's sake, while taking that much massive quantities of silver. So you won't have argyria to worry about if you process your colloidal silver with hydrogen peroxide and stabilize it with MSM. But there are other caveats to worry about. So it pays to become a vegan and encourage the inclusion of beeswax and honey in your diet, but not necessarily honey all the time. So when I'm not having honey, I'm having beans. Chili, refried beans, whole beans. I get them in a can so I don't have to cook them. And the only thing I have to cook is the pasta with the beeswax and water and maybe something else, maybe an herb or a little diatomaceous earth, something else. And then I don't have to cook vegetables because I just go and get the vegetable soup in a carton and have that, and then buy some nut butter. Oh yeah, I also I love tempeh because it's not as good as if I made soy-based yogurt myself, but it's soybeans, it's whole soybeans, and it's pre-digested soybeans, namely the tempeh culture, microbial culture that they culture the soybean to turn it into tempeh. So it isn't, my weak digestive system trying to digest whole soybeans, which is very difficult. And then I can make my own nut butter with a food processor and raw nuts and seeds, and even put a little chocolate and sugar in there. And of course I have to add oil to help the food processor grind up this is mostly pumpkin seeds, but it also has sunflower seeds. Because you can flavor it, when you make your own nut butter, you can flavor it any way you want. So that one's a chocolate flavor. So I eat good, and then I take, of course, a methylated B complex every day. And magnesium, I have to take magnesium. Occasionally I'll take potassium iodide. On rare occasion I'll put salt on my food. And occasionally I'll take a zinc gluconate. And occasionally I'll have some coconut butter. But by and large I don't really make a habit of taking coconut butter. And in terms of sweeteners, if I had to go second choice, it would be maple sugar. But honey tops the list. Honey is like just the most robust sweetener I can think of. But I'm not, I never considered myself a vegan anyway when I was a teenager, when I turned to fruits and vegetables, because I'm a big honey fan. I'm a big believer. I studied beekeeping when I was a preteen and a teenager, and ant farm, or ant colonies. I was very fascinated by the ants and by the bees. And I love honey. I just never made a habit of honeycomb or beeswax in my diet because I didn't think it had a value. It's chewy, it sticks to your teeth. What's it good for? So I can see now the value. Now that I've gotten older, and the stress, basically, combined with a weak nervous system, made it pretty easy for people to roll over me like I was some kind of doormat and make me out to be the loser, a putz, the Yiddish, a putz. And that's stressful, and it can skew your vision of the world because you begin to lose your self-respect. And when you start having your self-respect eroded, it's very easy to believe, the sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Is start to believe that names do hurt. And all the catcalling, all the names calling of calling somebody this, that, and the other thing, it does start to hurt. So beeswax is good in that respect, but beeswax begs the inclusion of honey in the diet. And I could not get away without beeswax, the eating of sweets. I would get so much bloat, it's unbelievable. So it's doing something to the microbial flora inside my gut such that it's reestablishing, I guess, healthy bacteria. And people say, one of the claims made by people against the use of silver is that, why would you want to kill off the good bacteria in your gut? Well, this is how to counter that argument, is to include beeswax and honey in your diet, so as to counteract the caveat of taking silver through the skin as if it were an injected drug, so that it will bypass the stomach directly, but indirectly it'll end up in the stomach because it'll end up everywhere when you take it the way that I'm describing, or have been describing in all my videos. So yeah, there's a caveat what impact it'll have on digestion, or on the microbial flora of the gut, I should say. But beeswax and honey corrects that. So there are these ways to have a better life and have some dignity in your old age, not to look decrepit and worn out. And I have an accelerating aging process due to antifreeze poisoning, in which I'm 10 years older than my chronological years. I'm actually 69, not 59. I've aged considerably, because I used to be 5 years younger than my chronological years due to fasting and meditation, but now I've aged 15 years. And it doesn't feel good. It feels like death is, just around the corner. So to get some dignity and semblance of dignity back, I endeavor to do all these things. And they are extreme, they are involved, they do take an investment of time and money. But when you're dying, and you don't believe in doctors because they purposely try not to excel in their position, because all the researchers, like Becker, are not allowed to fully integrate their knowledge into society. Now, Becker, what he came up with was too good to be true to pass up on. So yeah, we've integrated some of his knowledge, the use of silver as an antiseptic, but as a regenerative tool, whole body care for aging process, this is something he didn't even study. He studied wound care. So I focused on the aging process. What can I do to improve the quality of my life and undermine the accelerated aging process that I've been going through for over the last 10 years, for 13 years now? How do I undermine that? It's no small task, because you have to treat the whole body. How do you do that? And I thought pulsed magnetic therapy was the best. And up until Becker, that was the best. That was what I was doing. I bought a tape eraser, one of these old Radio Shack tape erasers from eBay. I bought a whole bunch of them, and I was applying them directly to my body in various areas to pulse my body with strong magnetic pulses, because that's the safest alternative to powerful protocols for dealing with trying to improve the energy field of the body. But taking a bath in silver hydroperoxide with MSM is even better. But you have the caveat to work with. So taking beeswax and honey is definitely an important concept in the use of silver. There's no two ways about it. And cayenne pepper, I don't see any position in my affairs for making use of cayenne pepper. Even though it's traditional with the use of silver, I've never liked spicy food. I can't stand spicy food. But honey, I've always loved honey. I just lost my ability to digest honey ages ago. My God, I forget how long it's been that I cannot digest honey. But now I can eat it with aplomb, with no concern whatsoever. So it's really cool. The silver, the beeswax have really opened up, and hydrogen peroxide and MSM have opened up the doors for me to be able to take honey and enjoy it. I practically live for honey, and everything else is just extra. Just, what else do I need besides honey? But honey is like the first and foremost thing I look forward to. And beeswax makes it possible now to appreciate honey, because silver alone couldn't do it. But the fact that I take silver required that I take beeswax because of the deposition of silver particles in my stomach once the silver ions transfer or move through the body, from the skin, through the tissues, dump themselves into the stomach, and then the hydrochloric acid turns that silver ions in solution into silver particles that precipitate out of solution and irritate the lining of the stomach. It's like having a meal of iron filings. So that's grinding up like sandpaper up against the walls of the stomach. And so what do? Well, you take beeswax, and we're not going to digest a whole lot of that beeswax, but it coats the stomach and it sticks to the silver. And there's iron filings in our diet. You should read the label. And now every time anything that contains wheat, look for the term in the ingredients of reduced iron. Reduced literally means reduced in size. It's not reduced chemically. They just reduce the iron to the size of little iron filings and put it in your food. And there are YouTube videos in which you can test for the presence of iron filings in your food. But they tell us by saying on the label, reduced iron. And so it's really weird. It's really weird, but beeswax helps coat the stomach and bind with, because it's sticky, it binds with metallic filings of all kinds. And silver is one of them. If you do the kind of thing I do, you'll end up with silver particles in your stomach, which can be an irritation. So beeswax fills a role that Tums, coral calcium, does not satisfy. In fact, I never take calcium anymore. I just take magnesium. And I don't even take kelp, because I don't enjoy a salt on my diet, on my food, because that'll help curdle silver into particle form too. Salt is a great way to bring silver out of solution and precipitate it, if that's what you want to do, but that's counterproductive. So, as great as seaweed is for its trace mineral content and all, it's not that great an idea to take in conjunction with silver usage. Anywho, I've covered, I think, as much as I need to cover. I just thought I'd bring you up to date. I think, honey is a really cool thing, but now I can enjoy it with aplomb. What would be a good synonym for aplomb? Shamelessly. I can enjoy honey, guilt-free. Guilt-free. Guilt-free enjoyment of honey. Or shameless, if you prefer.